I'd like to welcome everybody to the Springboro Community Schools Board of Education meeting for June 8, 2017. Roll call.
Anderson.
Here.
Babb.
Here.
Palage.
Here.
Stuckey.
Here. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb. Yes. Palage.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. 1-3, approval to accept the resignation of board member Dr. Darren Lund. Is there a motion?
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly. Is there a second?
Discussion.
Yeah, you have something to say, go ahead.
With regrets and we lost a good board member and better person.
Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb. Yes. Palage.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. Approval of the May 24, 2017 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb. Yes. Palage.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. Moving on to participation, is there anyone from the Springboro Education Association? Springboro classified employees. We didn't have any public participation prearranged. Any public participation on agenda item? Move on to the work session then.
Yeah, Mr. President, under 3.2, tonight we have 7 student handbooks that we are going to ask for approval later on in the meeting. These student handbooks are representative of the 6 buildings within the district as well as athletics. We've answered some questions over emails, made some clarifications. Thank you for the suggested improvements. Instead of having all 7 principals and athletic directors stand up, if we have any further questions or clarifications, many of them are here tonight to help to clarify.
Just make 2 statements.
Sure.
First, and she's not here, for the SI one, I absolutely love the fact that we mentioned that social media policies state that you need to be 13 to be on social media. I think it's a great thing to make parents aware of, because I think many parents don't read the policies that those kids shouldn't even be on social media. So when I read that, I loved it, because it gives another support to parents if they care to keep their kids off social media, that you're following the school handbook. So I think that's great to have that in there. The second thing was, and from what you stated, that there's been changes with the athletic handbook, it was fabulous to read. So very clear as to the different categories, and I'm sure we had one in the past. I just don't remember reading it in that detail. So thank you for the order and you put it. It just made it very easy as a parent of athletes to go through it and get questions answered. The only change, and the reason that I was really looking through it to begin with, was just because of our change with the what we call the 365 policy. Could you maybe just talk about that change? And I know it doesn't go into effect, you said, till August 1st, but I just think that we definitely want to make sure we get the word out there, since that is going to impact a lot. I mean, well, hopefully it's not going to impact our families, but we do need to make sure that we make people aware.
And not only about that, but when will we be communicating that to the families?
Yes, thank you.
I need to stand up.
You if you would like. Everybody don't see you. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, just a little bit of how the change was that prior to this handbook being presented, we had an in-season drug and alcohol policy for athletics. So anything that happened out of season, we were not able to use as we can't count it as an offense. We took this to athletic council and had a lot of discussions, and then from there had a subcommittee that looked into if we should explore the option of having a full year drug and alcohol policy. And we looked at other schools and many others around here have similar policy. So as we stated, that would start in fairness in communicating this, because we didn't want to communicate it obviously before it was approved. I feel like we need a couple of months to communicate this new change and start fresh on August 1st with fall sports. So we'll start communicating that as soon as the handbook is approved, that's a change that we'll be making. Some of the highlights, because people want to kind of look at consequences and things like that. First of all, it's a 7 through 12 policy. We talked about making that policy cumulative, but also realizing that that's 6 years of young people's lives that sometimes we make mistakes. So we decided to expunge offenses after 8th grade. So if you have an offense or two, hopefully not, but if you do, when you're in junior high, you start fresh in 9th grade, but then it becomes cumulative again from there. One change was we had a reduction policy in our prior policy. So you would get 20% for your first offense, but if you did 20 hours of community service, it would get reduced to 10. The language in the old policy gave you 45 days to complete that, and it was an in-season policy. Almost every time that I dealt with, that 45 days extended past the season, and it was nearly impossible to hold anyone accountable to that. We felt like if we have a consequence, then that should be the consequence. Everyone knows the consequences. There's no reason to reduce the consequences. We couldn't think of too many examples where we have in school where you have a consequence, but then you get to reduce your consequence if you do something else. So we kept with the consequences we felt were appropriate, which first offense was 20%, and then the second offense was 50%. This is of a season. The third offense is a 1 calendar year, and the fourth offense would be removal from the athletic department. So those are outlined in a little bit more detail within the document. But yeah, we felt like this was something that talking to other coaches and with my dealings with a couple of these issues was we have a culture that I don't know that any policy is going to stop every kid in our community or any other from making a decision to use drugs and alcohol, but we didn't feel like we could stand idly by and let kids, think that it's okay as long as they weren't in a season. So we wanted to kind of do something to be proactive about that.
I appreciate it. I think also that there was a great consistency among the handbooks, and I think that's something that's kind of been evolving through the years, and I've continued to see it. And just reviewing all of them from dress code, just all the way down to, I think there was a lot that was just copy and pasted as much as made sense between the handbooks. And that makes it, as a parent from kids at multiple buildings, it really makes it easy. So you're not trying to remember what is it at this building versus that building. So administrators as a whole, thank you for doing that. That makes it easy for parents that have multiple kids. So, hope they look good.
I'm going to turn it over to Austin Rhodes also for 3.3. The season pass fees. I know there's a lot of Austin, but go ahead.
Not really much. We decided not to change any of our season passes. $75 for the all sports pass for an adult, $50 for students, and then we have some reserved seats for football, $15 each, and without a season pass, it's $50 for a reserve seat. Those are all the same as they have been. That being said, the reason why they're the same, I feel like in just talking to other people in other districts that ours are pretty low in comparison, but we don't have a lot of data. One thing that we're working with now is Ticket Tracker, where we're going to scan every ticket and every pass that comes in the door to all of our athletic events that we take tickets, and then be able to, at the end of the season or at the end of the year, to really determine how much our passes are worth. So next year, I'd like to look to see, are we where we should be? Does it make sense economically where we have our passes set? We're also going to start selling season passes online for the first time, where community members don't need to come into the office or send something in the mail. They can just pay with their credit card online through Ticket Tracker, and we'll have that up on our website once that's set up. We're also going to be able to, for football games, buy pre-sale tickets online. So you could buy your tickets to every game if you wanted to ahead of time. So those are some things that we're going to do that I really think are going to help a lot. A convenience for our community members, but also help in the accounting purposes, because that money, you already have that money. It's money you don't have to count. It takes away some error. So those are things that we're also looking into with this.
Is there a fee for that if you do it online?
There is a convenience fee. It's paid to Ticket Tracker. I think it's $1 per transaction. Sometimes, depending on if it's a pass, there's a percentage. The feedback that we've received is that most people that have been on there, they can choose to not buy it online, but the convenience of it, of not having to drive up here between 7 and 3 to buy a pre-sale ticket, it's kind of worth $1.
Yeah.
So that's kind of making that option available.
Right, that's great.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Myers, 3.4 summer intervention for end of course exams.
Thank you. I'm actually going to ask the board to think back to, I think it was February, when we actually presented for summer school. If you recall, one of the things that we've always done is something for OGT, but since OGT went out and our seniors have all graduated, we have no one left for the OGT, so we didn't have that in our summer program. But also, I had mentioned to the board that the state had not yet decided on whether they were going to offer exams in the summer. Well, they finally decided mid-spring, and since that time, Ms. Cook and I and Mr. Barton, we've all been trying to figure out exactly how we will do this. With 7 exams, it's very different, very difficult to get 7 different teachers depending on the number of students. To house that becomes very expensive, so we were looking at other options. So we wanted to look at Apex as they have tutorials where students can pre-test and post-test to target specific areas where they fall short. At the same time, the timing of all of the reports coming back from AIR is very late. So this summer we decided to focus specifically on incoming seniors. There's about 40 to 50 seniors who are on what I call the bubble, which means they have 15 points right now or less towards graduation. If you want just a brief summary, you need 18 to graduate. Those seniors have taken the government exam, but we have no idea what those results are. So numerically, I'm a math guy, so I started to do that cost-benefit thing. If you've got about 16 points towards graduation, you probably will do okay on the government exam, and you'll get your last 2 points and you'll be able to graduate. So I chose 15 as a cutoff, which gave me my 45 or so students. That being said, some of them may not have to do this. So there's a lot of what ifs, we don't knows. At the same time, the window is in mid-July, which is right when all of us are on vacation. So it's just an interesting timing the state has come up with. But I'm looking for approval to look for one staff member to house or manage the Apex tutorials. Hoping that we can get about 20 students to be in that program and then take the exam during July 24th. We're going to charge $50 a student. Figure OGT was $30, but that's been a decades-long fee. We felt like 50 was more appropriate for the time, and also wanted to try to cover our costs. So the break-even point would be 10 students as far as covering the cost of that teacher. As an added benefit, this tutorial we can use in the fall and we can use again in the spring. So we have a year license to work with this and use it to do intervention again in the fall and the spring. At the same time, I went ahead and redid our registration form, and if you have the sheet that I know I sent it to CO, allows parents to choose which test they want their students to take. And of course, there is the caveat, please call your counselor because they can probably guide you through those 7 tests, which one's the best one to take. Thank you.
Questions? Mr. President, we have no committee reports tonight. I believe we'll have a couple of the next board meetings with some committees that are happening. Other than that, we're ready to move into the treasurer's report.
Ms. Floyd?
We just finished closing May last week. The general fund balance at the end of May was just under 9.6 million. Our funds, all funds, that accounts our bond fund, athletics, food service, all funds total was just over 17 million. We had almost $4 million in expenditures and a little over $1.2 million in revenue for the month. We're looking really good, even from the May forecast that I presented a few weeks ago. We're even under budget, even more so than anticipated. We're anticipating ending the year around 130,000 under the May forecast for salaries, which is awesome. We're right on in benefits, just a few thousand. Purchase service, currently I'm showing cash flow is running that we're still going to have over $200,000 under budget. However, we're still waiting to see if the CCP is going to do the final catch-up for June. If it does, that number will be low when we close. Everything else is pretty much right on with the May forecast that I presented. So right now we're looking at about 400,000, close to 450,000 under budget from the May forecast. So our cash balance at the end of the fiscal year should be even higher than I currently show for the May forecast. So it's been an excellent year. The budget's really tight, but they're making it work, so it's great. And then the other item that I have tonight is approval for donations for an 8th grade end of class. I guess it was the last day of school raffle. We have laser web, paintbrush, pottery, nail spa, and the digging dragons, all provided items for this last day raffle.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept 4.1 and 4.2?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
Other than just to say, we've had this discussion before in the finance committee, but it's just great to see the discipline that's been instilled throughout the district. And it's a lot of people that have put energy and effort into that, but just the discipline around our finances and how people are really being choiceful, with their expenditures and making sure that we're only spending on things that we need. And you see that as evidenced by the fact that we're continually coming in under budget. So I just appreciate the efforts of your staff, and you, Tara, and just of all of the teachers and our staff throughout the buildings, because I think they do an excellent job of sort of managing those limited resources very effectively. So I just want to extend my thanks.
I agree. I think that the staff is fabulous. The principals, their staff, they're going to take shift. So it's helping.
We appreciate it.
I also, in looking at the 8th grade end of school event that they had, there's a little Facebook group with 8th grade parents, and there was discussion around this, and it was just neat to see, because where's John? Was this a different event this year than in the past?
I don't know, this is my first year now.
There was something different because there was question around it.
We worked with the PTO or the PTP on it, but what's been done in previous years, I'm just not entirely sure.
Okay, there was something different, I don't remember what it was, but to hear the kids, because I have an 8th grader, so to hear the excitement and the neat things that were happening, and these moms worked hard to pull this event off, and then to see all these community, participants that donated a lot to make this happen. It's neat to see the community come around to make a last day of school event such an awesome thing for kids. So I think that even though there was question among some parents of why aren't they doing it the way they've always done it or whatever, then you see something like this and they pull off something amazing with the support of the community. So it's just neat, and I appreciate all the people that donated and the moms that worked hard to pull it off. And dads, sorry, mom and dads, grandmas.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bab?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. President, under the superintendent's report, we have 3 items asking for your approval tonight. The first, 5.1, are policy revisions. This is the second reading of 2 policies that were brought last month. One, the cash balance reserve policy, and the other one with the managing peanut and other life-threatening food allergies. 5.2 is also something that was brought during the work session of the last meeting. This is our 2018-19 school calendar draft. And then 5.3, we only bring this to you tonight because of the timing, because of the summer, getting into the printers and so forth. In theory, we would love to be able to bring the handbooks to you at one board meeting and approved at the next, but I know we were able to get most of them to you 2 weeks ago to read, and so we're asking for approval of those 7 handbooks. Again, those 3 items.
Is there a motion to accept 5.1 through 5.3, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Thank you for changing the word with the cash reserve. We changed it to, it's not an automatic that it would go to a levy, but we will propose, you guys will propose options and having discussions around, is there a need for a levy? So I'm very happy with how you changed that, so thank you.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes. Executive Director's Report.
Mr. President, members of the board, for your consideration today, we'll have 3 separate action items because of some things that have to be voted on. First one is recommend approval of our annual athletic camp workers.
Is there a motion to accept 6.1?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you just talk through how the funding of camps work?
Woo-hoo. That was one I hadn't anticipated.
There's questions, every year there's questions about that, so I think it's good to state how the funding.
And now I have to remember, because we haven't talked about this in 2 years. So the camp funds are collected by the person that's running the camp, which is typically the head coach. And then they deposit the money. The proceeds then from that, there's a certain percentage that comes straight off the top that goes to the athletic to the athletic account. It's 20%. Then the remaining funds go for operation of the camp, paying camp workers, and any other fees that are associated with that camp. So theoretically, what should happen is at the end of the camp, it's 0. So 20% goes directly to help fund the athletic department, and then the rest go mainly for fees. But there's, if they have any ancillary things like water or t-shirts or anything else that's required for the camp, it comes out of those fees.
So then the athletic workers that we just voted on, if they're getting paid, then it comes out of that.
Correct.
Right.
There's no other funds that are used for those
Right,
camps.
it all comes out of the fees from those of
Correct.
us that are sending kids to these
Correct.
camps or whatever.
That is
Okay,
correct.
Thanks.
Roll call, please.
Stuckey?
Abstain.
Yes.
Anderson? Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
6.2 is approval of supplementals for football for next year.
Is there a motion to accept 6.2?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Abstain. 6.3.
6.3 through 6.5, we'll vote on those as one. 6.3 is our regular personnel report. We did receive 3 resignations, and one of them was kind of a surprise, but it was the other 2 were expected, just on hearsay. We have a change. We're hiring 2 folks. We're very happy with those. I mean, we went through a lengthy process on all those, and we've got some great people that are coming in. We have one person at Clear Creek that is going from a full-time position to a half-time position at her request, and we've posted that other half-time, so we're not losing any time with the students. We're just going to be having 2 half-time folks, which in the end is going to be better for us because it gives us more flexibility in having that reading intervention in the morning time when most of those kids are at their peak in terms of learning, typically. Then we've got one great thing for us, sad for someone. Brenda Howard is going to be coming over to district office to take Jerry's place, who's retiring. So that's a big plus for us. Unfortunately, it's a loss for SI, but we've got that position posted already. We have a couple additional days that's required for those new folks that we've hired. And then we've got our normal extended days that are here. We're doing it a little different because this year they'll be required to put in a timesheet for the extra days that they work. So if they don't work those days, they don't get paid for those days, which some of them have done that, and then they've got to go back and the services office has had to recoup. So it's a better way to do it, and it'll be better for us. We've got some summer school personnel for credit recovery, soccer coach, supplementals, and then we've got certified subs. Most of those are really for home instruction for next year, various classified subs. We've gone through and we've actually cut those numbers down quite a bit because there were several people in those lists that just didn't do subbing for us anymore. And then we've got our temporary athletic help that will follow up at the end of that. So 7-some pages, and we did have one leave of absence. All right, next is the approval of the intercourse intervention for summer school that Mr. Myers just spoke about. So if there's any other questions, let us know. And then finally, 6.5 is approval of the summary. Since there was a change in that since the last time you approved, one of the things that we've done to help with Clear Creek also is way back when we went away from the ESC and brought the preschool program back in-house. We went out and we got some OTPT on separate contracts that we've been improving every year. And instead, what we're going to do next year is we're going to bring that back into the ESC because that's where we've got the rest of our OTPT pool. So we're going to bring those in there. So that's the only change. That's why this is coming back, is because we're not going to have those two that did OTPT at Clear Creek before. We'll be using ESC for all of that.
Does that save us money?
Well, it doesn't save us money necessarily, but it gives us more continuity because then the same folks that are providing OTPT for some other areas will be able to provide it at Clear Creek also. So it gives us a little bit more continuity with that piece. Because the folks that were there at Clear Creek, that was it. They just did that little piece at Clear Creek, and they really didn't interact with the rest of our OTPT staff. So this helps us in the long run, just keeping that continuity piece going.
I have a couple questions on the personnel.
Yes.
With the ESC, our certified subs are through the ESC, correct?
Right,
But
which
do
is
we-
actually maintained by Butler County ESC, but it's through the COG, which is tied to
But do
that.
we actually approve them here, but they're through, just seeing that whole list?
We
it just made me start
don't
thinking.
approve our teacher subs that are through the COG.
We don't,
Classified.
just
Right.
classified,
Correct,
but in our classified, we all do internally.
correct, that is correct.
Gotcha,
So,
okay.
so none of these folks that you're approving tonight on that personnel report are subs in terms of, that we use as teacher subs. Most of the certified subs there are for home instruction purposes.
Right, in home instruction being
Correct.
somebody that's home with,
Right, we have to
School
provide
sickness
services
or-
outside the normal daily setting.
right, okay, thank you. I did have one other question on the ESC.
Yes.
What is, our curriculum consultant, it said $800 per diem. What does that mean?
Well, we missed that. We took that off last time.
Right,
What that is it's their boilerplate, kind of like what we had with Hamilton County, where here's all the services we have, and if you need it, it's gonna cost you $800 a day.
right.
We took
We
that
don't
off
do it.
last time, but when they sent this back to us with the changes,
We
they used
didn't.
their old template.
Right.
I
Okay, so
caught
we
that
won't
earlier
do that?
today, and we couldn't get that changed, but bottom line is, where it says district share, there's nothing there, because we're not.
We're not using it, correct.
If for some reason we would need a curriculum consultant, honestly, we're not gonna go to them for $800 a day.
I know, so
Correct,
I was like,
exactly,
What are we
that's
doing
right.
here?
But it's an option
Okay.
from them.
And we would come back to you again if something happened. I mean, there's no money set aside there. So any change in this, we'd have to get your approval
Yeah, it's
for.
their template that when they send it back to us, we cancel. Our
Okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's expensive. Okay.
Have we done the motion motion to accept 6.3 through 6.5?
So,
Roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bab,
yes.
Palage,
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. 7.1 is the approval of an addendum to the treasurer's contract. What this does is it gets our treasurer's contract up equal with our superintendent's. For example, life insurance, vacation days, and Medicare. Those are the types of things that we needed to make equal. We had talked about it back when our superintendent was hired, and kind of forgot about it. And so now we are bringing it back, and it will be retroactive to January, correct? Okay. Because we had talked about doing it back when Mr. Schrader was hired. Okay. So is there a motion to accept 7.1?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Sorry, we forgot.
Oops.
Sorry.
Roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bab,
Yes.
Palage.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes. Move on to board comments. Have a statement to read at this point. At our last meeting, the board issued a statement regarding the actions of Mrs. Babb pertaining to a parent letter about communication in this district. While the board maintains its disagreement with Mrs. Babb's approach to this issue, it is important to note that her involvement was neither unlawful or unethical. While there are still issues that we need to address as a board to be able to operate collectively, we are committed to working through those issues internally as we go forward. And then before I move on, I also want to thank Dr. Lunt for his time and service. There must be something about that seat because we had to replace the replacement now. So I guarantee you, we've got some good applicants, and we're going to move forward on finding somebody to replace Dr. Lunt. But thanks again.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this brief tonight. There's a couple things I wanted to go over. I'll start by saying congratulations to all of our graduates. I thought it was a great ceremony. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that it's probably the favorite thing that we get to be a part of, or at least my favorite thing that we get to be a part of. And just thought it was a great ceremony, and I wish all of our graduates luck as they go forward and whatever life holds for them after they leave our district. So I wish them the best of luck. The other thing I'd like to say is that it's obviously disappointing to not be speaking after Dr. Lunt tonight. Normally he sort of kicks this off, but obviously he's not here, and it's a shame, in my opinion. I think Darren is a good, decent person who really only wanted to do what's best for our students and their families, and he was a tremendous asset to this board. And I really enjoyed the time that I had serving with him, and I'm proud to call him a friend. It's a shame that he's not here because, if I'm being honest, I'm not really sure why things had to progress to a point where he and his family felt threatened. I'd say it's over a disagreement, but I'm not really convinced that there's as much disagreement as some have suggested. It seems to me that a couple of separate issues have gotten really mixed together. As evidenced by the last meeting and Mr. Stuckey's statement, we clearly have issues that we need to work through as a board. And I, for one, am committed to trying to work through those internally going forward. But those issues are separate from the ones around communication and special education that have been raised by parents. On that front, while there are things we can improve upon, I mentioned as much in our last meeting, I think there's been a narrative that's created which I disagree with, in my opinion. People have accused us of listening but not hearing, among other things. Some highlights from the last couple of weeks include that it's disturbing that board members won't listen and attack another to divert the issue of these parents with real concerns in a district very poor in special needs communication, that we don't care about the education and treatment of these special needs children, that complaints have fallen on deaf ears, that we are not trying to help these parents, and that we seem to want to hide our heads in the sand as if nothing is wrong. These are obviously strong accusations and certainly something to be upset about, but I can't reconcile those sentiments with the actions that the board and administration have taken in regards to those complaints. It seems to me that if all those things were true, then we wouldn't have made changes to our administrative structure, including bringing in a new leader of special education and adding another central office special education resource. If that's really how this board felt, then I'd ask why we're adding an assistant principal at Clear Creek Elementary. Why would the superintendent send a letter to those families who signed the letter asking for them to set up meetings to address their concerns in person? Those to me don't seem like the actions of people who are ignoring an issue or hiding their heads in the sand. Now, I'm certainly aware that there are other issues that have been raised that are not addressed by those actions. I will simply say that since the treasurer and superintendent are the only two people who report to this board, that I have confidence in both of them, that they will provide the coaching and guidance necessary to all of their employees in order to make them successful. Again, I hope an honest reflection by all of us can maybe find that we're not as far apart on some of these issues as it may seem. It just saddens me personally that we couldn't get to that realization in time to prevent the loss of a good board member. Thanks.
I'm going to read a portion of my statement because I want to make sure I get my thoughts out. I think that everyone has done a lot of self-reflection over the last couple of weeks. I definitely have. As a board member, I was elected to serve the families and the community members in Springboro. That's where our focus as a board needs to be, on doing what is best for the kids here in Springboro. When we do that, everybody wins. You know, one thing I love and I appreciate is the heart and the passion of our community. I want everyone listening to make sure that the passion that you're feeling is focused in the right direction. Even when things happen that we don't agree with, it's never acceptable to threaten somebody's business or make somebody feel that they don't care for a certain population just because of a decision that they've made. We need to rise above this and be able to share our concerns in a productive and a mature way that really impacts change. I'd like to personally thank Dr. Lunt for his time on the board. He has a huge heart. He truly does care for students, all students. Anybody who knows him knows his heart and that he will do anything for anybody. He truly is a man of integrity. As a board, we definitely have some areas in communication that we need to address in order to continue to get to a healthier point. We're committed to do that because that's what's best for the kids in Springboro. On another note, I usually try to share something that I've heard in the community that's a positive, and that's what I want to do now, because last board meeting wasn't good for anybody, but there's many, many things that are amazing that are happening in Springboro, and I think that that's where all of us want to, we don't want to focus on the negatives because there are so many things that are going right. And the things that I have been in, clearly there's a lot of reflection in the direction of what Jamie and I just referred to, but there's also been a lot of reflection around our graduates and about the last school year. I have a graduate, my first, and the graduation was amazing, was an amazing thing to be part of as a board member, but also as a parent, and I heard that from many people. But one of the things that stood out to me was at grad parties, I don't remember how many, 20-some probably, that we went to over a couple-week period. And it was the number of teachers and administrators that I saw at these grad parties. It blew me away, the time that these people put into, totally on their own time, coming and loving on these graduates, that they, for no other reason than they truly care about our kids. And you know, it's just something else, and she's actually here, but I did ask permission. I was going to share it last meeting, it just wasn't the right time. But I saw on Facebook about a time capsule that Tiffany Page had done with Nick Anderson, and I asked permission from both of them, in 2nd grade. And he asked if he could come over and open it with her now that he's a senior, and he opened up things from 2nd grade that they had done, and memories and letters from parents, and that was at his open house. And you think about stuff like that, and those are the things that make Springboro so amazing, is we have teachers that care enough to do those things and to be part of our kids' lives and to do the things that really make a difference. And she said that she had gotten away from that and actually did it with her kids again this year because of having that memory. And a couple other kids reached out because they opened their time capsule this year too of 10 years ago. This is what it was like being a second grader. And you know, at my son's grad party this weekend, seeing all of these teachers, I mean, Mr. Corzan brought 5 kids with him, a 2-month-old with him by himself, but it was important to him that he came to my son's grad party. And I just think, you know, you don't get that everywhere. People that are writing letters of recommendation to get into college, to get scholarships. I don't remember how many Stephanie Franks told me she wrote. It was a lot of letters of recommendation. They care. They don't have to do any of those things. So to the teachers that have given so much for I'm going to focus on our seniors this year right now just because that's where my head's at. I just thank you. I appreciate it in a totally different way because I have a senior. So that's my happy today. No, I didn't.
I don't believe it.
Mr. Anderson.
I don't think I can add much, actually, to these young people and their comments. Graduation was great. It just goes off so well. I mean, whoever orchestrates that, I'm not sure exactly. I know there's a number of people, but it just.
Gail Dauber, high school teacher, Kyle Martin and his team. Kyle, any other staff you want to recognize?
Mrs. Dauber, as a senior class advisor, administration and counselors, help with that. And it all starts with, the setup is a setup. We have great kids, so we know everything's going to go off as planned, but it starts with our practice. And, really, I mean, it takes work. There's a reason why we practice for 3 hours, and it's to make sure that we can get 401 kids through in an hour and 25 minutes. Although I was looking at my Washington professional saying we're 4 minutes over, I was starting to get a little nervous in the hour and a half goal. But we always get great feedback every year. And another thing I like to point out is it never fails. And to me it's the neatest part of the ceremony is when we recognize our military. This is 3 years in a row now. We've had a standing ovation for our kids who are either enlisting, going on a scholarship, or going to West Point, military academy of some sort. And I got a ton of feedback, email-wise, and actually kids that were actually personally twittering me, if that's a term, just thanking for that recognition, because a lot of times that goes unnoticed because everyone wants to talk about scholarships.
Yeah.
And so I think that's extremely important to make sure that we point out, because we had, once again, 10.2, just under 10.2, which is the highest we've ever had. And that's extremely important, but what got standing ovation was the 15 or 20 kids who are making that next step to support our country. I think that's extremely important.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I saw the email that was distributed. That was pretty cool. So anyway, it was a great experience. So it always is. And how it happens in an hour and 30 minutes is beyond me, but very nice.
How many seniors do we have next year?
468, 467.
Still an hour and 30 minutes, right?
Still be down in 30 minutes. And that freshman, next year sophomores with 530 gets up there, out in 30 minutes.
This bump.
I'm gonna have to read a little bit faster. You guys have to. We'll get out of
Okay, anything else announcements or future? Okay. Do I have a motion to move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official? Second?
Second?
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Bath?
Yes.
Valente?
Yes.
Yes. You will not have any action afterwards. Thank you for coming.